live down there, that they have to pray at school for breakfast and lunch to the government, to Hugo Chavez, and they have public TV where you pray, and you go, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be Hugo Chavez's name. Thy socialist kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven." These are just total whack jobs. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, Ronald Reagan had a great quote that the only places that socialism does work are in heaven, where they don't need it, and in hell, where it already exists. and what they do is they use this godlike figure to manipulate naive people, people that don't know better. And that's why we see today that the entire Democrat Party program is based on disinformation, fooling people with ideas that the rich people are keeping them down, that the rich people don't pay enough taxes. They make up all these stories to manipulate uneducated people. And that's the beginnings of the demise of a society. When they get enough people to follow along, they can impose this socialist hell upon them and then use the tools of state to suppress any opposition and control all of the assets of the states for themselves. We've seen it a million times. And
that's where we're headed. We're getting the police state. We're getting everything that goes along with it. And it's true, the Democratic Party has just gotten wildly radical, really communist. They use all the same lean forward, all this Marxist stuff. I mean, they mean business.
Yeah, even I saw an advertisement for a guy running for governor in Pennsylvania. His entire program was the middle class are getting screwed by the rich people, and he wants to fight for the middle and lower classes. Their ideology is a class-based society where people vote their class.
And that's why they love racism. That's just another form of class. Let's break that down straight ahead and ask, why do so many billionaires fund this then?
We're on the march.
And control the future, gain the future, running everyone's lives, and we see where it goes. Let's say they had a great plan. They shouldn't be able to make us live by it, but they don't even have a great plan. Now, Joel's talking about this. It's what Charles Barkley came out and talked about, how he thinks that the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks is being criticized because he's not, quote, black enough. And it's the same type of mentality where, oh, you know, that guy's doing good, he must have sold out. That's why they push racism so much, so they don't have to actually deal with real issues. Now, does that mean there isn't racism out there? Of course there is, on all sides. Does it mean there have been evils that had to be right? Of course, but they always want to keep it on those areas because they don't want to talk about the discrimination of big mega banks getting trillions of dollars to back up derivatives through the bipartisan banker bailout that's the opposite of free market and is a transfer to the ultra-rich. So what I have found, and what Ron Paul and others have documented historically, is that ultra-rich, George Soros, Ted Turner, Hillary Clinton's worth $100 million bucks. That's pretty super rich. Warren Buffett, the biggest recipient of the banker bailout, but he goes on TV constantly to say, you know, my secretary pays more than I do. That's not right. Well, why'd you lobby to have the laws written like that? I have almost 50 people working for me, and the way they've written the laws now, we can't write off equipment, anything, basically now. I have to, like, pay for it in taxes. Like a new studio is something that I could sell tomorrow. It'd be worthless tomorrow, a big InfoWars studio. Doesn't matter. Spend $500,000 on that. That's $500,000 Alex Jones made. That's why these accrual systems work. Now, if that was a big globalist company, they have it all written in the Arthur Anderson type groups to certify it politically, and then like General Electric, you pay zero tax, or Google, 3% tax, and their executives are based in Luxembourg. But for somebody trying to run a small factory, or somebody trying to run a media operation, or somebody trying to run a restaurant, it's written where you get almost nothing. I pay over 70% in one form of taxes or another. Now, again, I don't run this place just to make money. The main goal is promote liberty and freedom and have a right to property, right to raise my children, a right to religion, right to the Second Amendment, and so many other things, and not be conquered. It's about not being a slave, having an instinct and a mind and a gut to be free. But I realize I've got to have money to be able to fight those battles and be able to have a printing press. I'm for a free press. Everybody should own one. You don't have to have money to fight on a local scale, but you got to have it to fight on a world scale. So yes, we fund ourselves through book sales, video sales, T-shirt sales that all promote freedom and educate and inform and fight back. and through high-quality supplements that have been shown to do amazing things for the immune system, the body, health, you name it, cutting-edge things at InfoWarsLife.com. And then they have Rolling Stone and Nightline and MSNBC and CBS News and ABC News and everybody, Media Matters, demonizing me. How dare Alex Jones sell products and fund himself? Yeah, I should just get it out of a stimulus funds, like MSNBC got like $1 billion, their parent company. Hundreds of millions of it went to their NBC and MSNBC division. Rachel Maddow got a raise, it was reported, on your tax money. $400 and something million a year to NPR. Then they begged for money, and that's okay, because it's Rockefeller Radio. He's the good rich guy. No, they're the ultra-rich that don't want competition. That's the other part of the equation. And who want to dumb people down and make it all about, hey, I don't want to become successful and middle class or wealthy. A lot of folks become middle class and don't want to keep working hard to become wealthy. I reached that point a long time ago. Hey, I don't need more than, 2 cars and a house and medical care and decent clothes. I don't worship things, so I don't care. Then I realized people want to take it all away from me. I need to be strong and built up to defend myself, and that's come in handy, by the way. So they want people thinking small so they can run the world. They don't want you to have dreams. They want you playing video games and watching sports and fighting with each other so they can run the world. You can't have air conditioning. You can't have a car in Africa. You can't have a house. But Obama can fly in on a giant jumbo jet with red carpets and spend $50 million a day in Secret Service. All these big rich people like Michael Moore suing states to stop paying taxes and paying almost no taxes and owning Halliburton and defense stocks. The issue is they're totally fake monsters. Al Gore buying some $8 million house right on the beach. The same year he said that California by 2013 would be underwater from the melting ice caps. By the way, they're at record size. And he's never called on it. He invented the internet. He created the planet in 7 days. Just all these lies, the disdain they have for you. I'm ranting. I'm going back to Joel Gilbert and clips from the film. It's just that it's not rhetoric about how horrible they are. You know how Al Gore's dad, Senator Gore, made all his money? All his money was being the top gopher minion for Armand Hammer, who was the main Soviet liaison to the U.S. and who ran giant steel mills and factories with slave labor in Russia. Al Gore is fabulously rich and hides most of his wealth. And he wants you to pay him carbon taxes to breathe while he has buses and jets and more than 10 homes. And you've got Ted Turner saying kill everybody when he's got 5 kids. They're the ultimate hypocrites that have decided they run our lives. The ultimate form of domination. And you sell out to them for chicken feed. Let's go to socialism and human nature and then get Joel Gilbert's take. But look, in the aggregate, if we sell 10,000, 20,000 copies of this film, that's nothing to my operation as much as it costs. For Joel, it helps him make his next film. But you need to support independent media that promotes liberty. You need to get his film and show it to friends and family. And I watched the film. I agree with about 95% of it. It doesn't matter if I disagree with some of it. What matters is overall it's showing what poison collectivism is and how dangerous it is and how it's slavery. And people are ready to learn this and know this now, especially folks that have lived under it, not the trendies. They believe that they're part of something big, and through extension, they're taking over when they're the biggest chumps. Let's go to that clip.
Socialism is all negative. It's a temptation. It can't bring to anything good.
And I will raise the minimum wage. If you can't afford it, we will subsidize your care.
Man, human being, is very weak. He is vulnerable for temptations.
$4,000 tuition credit every student. You don't have to pay an income tax. You're already having a tough time.
Part of human nature belongs to devil, part to God. The part belonging to devil makes him follow socialism.
By giving them higher salaries. And I know you need that.
Whenever you hear, I'm going to cut your taxes, give you higher salaries and free health care and free everything, don't walk, run. Come in the alleyway, man. We've got something for you. And the guys are clearly thugs. Joel Gilbert, tell folks about who that gentleman was, the former KGB officer.
Yeah, that was Konstantin Preobrazhensky. He's a KGB defector, a former communist theorist. And he's throughout the film, and he tells all the reality of socialism and communism, very knowledgeable. And he explains that socialism and communism are just a fairy tale for illiterate people, who are led into essentially the gulag. The end result of the Yellow Brick Road was not that Dorothy met a wonderful wizard. It's that he sent her to the witch's castle, and she was taken prisoner in the dungeon. In the communist system, the flying monkeys get you in the end. Anytime you hear someone say, I'm going to give you all these goodies, and we have the perfect formula for social change, you're going to end up in prison. Prison camp is the end result of every socialist experiment. And you're put there by these leaders who have fake lives and fake backgrounds. They're completely pathological liars. I documented in my last film, Dreams from My Real Father, that Obama's entire personal history, political and personal, is a lie. So I think by promising people all these wonderful goodies, in their mind it's a psychological issue. They're trying to relieve themselves of the guilt on the one hand for lying about everything. On the other hand, they're bringing their personal destruction in their own life to the public sector and destroying everyone else's life.
That's right. Misery loves company. When poor folks, most of them are working so hard, to know Obamacare raised payroll taxes, to have them say, you don't need to be paying income taxes. We're going to get rid of it for poor people. And then he increased it. That is so cold-blooded. I mean, it's so sick. And then a lot of poor folks, though, that are on welfare, I've run into them, they really think that if you've got a nice house and a car, and that if you have them come do a job, that somehow you're using them when you're actually creating an economy, and that it is the nouveau riche in all the studies that actually create the wealth and have the services. If they weren't there, there'd be nothing. What would you... They just don't know how economies work. It's so sad.
Well, instead of the president explaining to people, like, thank God this guy opened a business and he's employing people in the neighborhood, and you can get your friend to come work there, and let's support this business, and everybody come and buy ice cream at this new ice cream store on the south side of Chicago. Instead, the progressive mentality is, if you opened a business, you are evil. You did it on the back of someone else. It's this Marxist nonsense from the Bolshevik era that Obama was trained and indoctrinated in his entire life. But in my film, for example, I talk to people on Southside Chicago, and they're saying, you know, we make $500 a week, but the taxes are taking $200 away. So they can't even make it because of the taxation.
If you are being paid $500 a week, you should be paying no income tax. Zero. That's common sense. And until the 60s, no one was charged. It's just incredible. People say, well, how's the government run? Off all the other taxes, there's hundreds of them, and they're adding hundreds more.
Yeah. Well, they take payroll tax. Of course, everything is taxed at a high level, but the progressive agenda is just a war on every level of society, every economic group, and especially the middle class, because they want to eliminate it. In socialist economies, they don't have a middle class. There's an elite class that runs everything and controls all the wealth, and then one big lower class. But let's look at the next clip. It's about the illegals and what they're trying to do.
¿De dónde eres usted, primero?
El Salvador.
¿También? México, ¿de dónde es México?
Puebla. Guatemala.
¿Guatemala también?
Guatemala.
We're recruiting and training Latino organizers.
The antiquated immigration system needs to be changed.
We will transform this nation.
We can have a new LSA. You can have stations in the border states. A station in each state.
¿Qué porcentaje de gente en México quieren volver a América?
Es el 80%, el 90% no.
Apoyo a Obama, ¿por qué?
Por el plan de salud.
¡Viva Obama! ¡Viva Obama! Y este con plan de salud. I am going to march with you every step of the way to make sure that we are welcoming every striving immigrant who sees America the same way we do.
¿Por qué no te quedas y trabajar en tu propio país?
Porque el problema de que no puedo quedarme en mi país es por el sistema del socialismo.